We've just been through one of the worst years in the last century, 2021, the year of COVID-19. Everybody experienced it differently, but they all talk about its trauma. So let's discuss trauma. The definition of trauma is a change that, due to circumstances, that has a negative effect on our well-being. However, there's also a sequence to this trauma, and this helps us understand our feelings in this regard. The first change is impact, our fight-flight response, due to the fact that when anything happens around us, our brain's cortex, which is the thinking part, first absorbs the circumstance, and sometimes the reptilian brain, which is the faster of the two, just reacts in whatever way it thinks fit. Usually it's a fight-flight response. Most animals have this response. The second thing that happens is that we feel numb and we withdraw. And in COVID, we were forced to withdraw. And that makes us feel isolated. And in the isolation, we often felt a feeling of depression. And a lot of people are still suffering with that feeling of depression. So we have to adjust to this. And the only way we can adjust to it is to ask ourselves various questions. Like this one, for instance. What could have been worse than what we've just been through? Maybe still being forced to stay isolated, we are at least beginning to get through it. So our adjustment begins, and it starts with what was lost and how can we get back to what we had. So we look at the past and we wonder about ever being able to travel again or go back and work in a building. One thing about COVID, and it was a change that was possibly for the good according to many, and that was that we could start working online from home. However, these things have to be thought through rather carefully, and one way of doing it is to ask more questions. What was and what should be? Should we be working online always? Is this a change that has to stay? So this might be a yes for many. Others, again, might feel that they want to make the adjustment and come into a world with more people and get back to what they were. However, the one thing that's certain, and that is change. So now we're getting to the reconstruction and the acceptance of what's happened. We've used both sides of our brain. However, there has been a stress reaction. There has been a feeling of isolation and even depression. And it's up to us to find the resilience to actually move forward and take the best out of what's happened in the year, and then move forward with that to some kind of acceptance so that the future will be better in every way to what has just happened. And we realize that the worst of life cannot take out the best of me.